Hi, in this video we are going to see how to use the if and the nested if in Excel. So let's say we have the following information. We have the student, we have the country or residency, we have the class, we have the score, and we want to compute the grade. We want to test whether the student passed the class or failed the class. We want to list all the passing courses and also want to list the student from Cameroon that passed the class. So for the first question, we have to complete the grade, and we have the information listed here. And for the second question, we need to list all the passing students, and the student passed the class if the grade is different than the F, or the grade is greater than 50 than 51. And also we had to list all the students that live in Cameroon and that pass the class, as I said. So before we start, we are going to discuss a little bit about the general structure of the if and the nested if. So for the if function, we have the if, we have the logical test here, then the value if that test is true. So if this condition is true, we print this, otherwise we print this. That's what it means. So for the nested loop it's a little bit different. So we do the first, so you can tell first that if you have a 1, 2, 3 if function, we are going to have a 3 closing parentheses at the end here. And that's why I emphasize that using different colors. So this is the first color, this is the closing parenthesis, this is the second one, this is the closing one, and this is the third one, and this is the closing. So the way it works is very simple. The first test, when the first test is true, you print this value. If it's not, and so using the value if this test is true, is false, you print another, you use another if function for this particular location, and so on. So you can keep doing that, because in this case this was the if function. So let's say this is the first if function, then I replace this with another if function, and I do the same thing. If I replace this with another if function, I can replace this value for the second if function by another if function until the end. The last function that I'm going to get here, I'm going to print for that last function the value if false, or that function is going to be value of if false for all the tests in that in the expression. So this is the value if test false. That's why you see this. So let's say we want to compute the passing score of every student, for example. We want to the passing grade of every student. So what I'm going to do is this is a nested if statement. So I put equal to. So what I do is I'm going to put equal, then I put if. So the trick is, let me just type it here so you can easily see. So that's my first if function. So just like what we have here, because we have the series of expressions, we are going to use the nested if. So the first test is the score is less or equal to 50. So to express the fact that we can capture 50, we are just going to be the score is less than 51. So the first test, okay, let me just put it here. So the first test is, this is my first test of my first function, the if. So if the score is less than, because we say less or equal to 50, I'm going to put less than 51. Then what we do, we put the persons, we put the F, that means he failed the class. And for the false part of the value if false part of that function, is going to be another function. That's very important. So I'm just going to put the space there. So this is the first part that we did here, which is this. Then for the second part, this, if the scores is between 51 and 60, we put the D. So I'm going to put another if statement. So for the value if it's false, I put another if statement. Then I put if. As soon as I put the if, I always open and close it. So I put if, again I open, then close it. This is another if. Then I can work out inside this function. That's another if. Now for this if function, what do I do? So I do another text there. So the grade had between 51 and 60. So I put my grade. So that means the grade had to be greater than 51. So the grade had to be greater than 51. And then because we have two tests here, we put the and in there. So this is the and because the and, I put that in parentheses like this. So this is the and function. So the grade had to be greater than 51 and had to be less than 60. So the grade had to be less than 60. So this is the testing criteria. And if that happen, and mean this both conditions have to be true. And if both conditions are true, what we do, we put the grade of D. That means the student have the D grade. So again, I put the comma there. So this is done for the second if statement. So if this is true, so that means if these two conditions are true, I put D. Otherwise, what I do another if statement. So another if again, and I open, then I close it. And for this test, what I do, so for this test, I'm right here. So if the grade is from 60 to 65, so to capture the 60, I can put if the grade is greater than 59. So I put if the grade is greater than 59. Because we had two conditions, I'm just going to put another and there. And because the two conditions had to be inside the and. So if it's this case, so it had to be greater than 59. If it's greater than 59, it's going to be able to capture the 60, and it had to be less than 66 in order to capture the 65. So the grade had to be less than 66. So if when that is true, what happened? If this condition is true, so this is the condition. If this condition is true, what do? I print what? We print C minus, and because this is the last test, because after these two, after these three, the rest are just going to be A. So if this condition is true, we put F. If it is this condition is true, we put a D. If this condition is true, we put a C minus. Otherwise, what we do, we put A. Good. So observe this very well. This is A. If I hit enter, I get this. Yes. Then I can double click to put that. Now it's now to, so we have the result. Now we can just try to visualize how it works. So look at this expression again. It's very simple and it's very intuitive how it works. And I'll show you the reason why I went step by step on how to build this, so you can visualize easily. Yeah. And then okay. So again, let me explain again for the last time the nested if. So for the if you understand the if, the nested if is going to be easier for you. Okay. Okay, as I said, if you understand the if, the nested if is going to be easier for you. So for the if, you have the logical test, the value if that test is true, and the value if that test is false. For the nested if, you have the test, the value if the test is true, and for the value if that test is false, you put another test there, and so on. You keep doing the same. So for this, in this case, I replace it with another test, but for the value if the test is false, for the second test, I put another test until I get to the end. And for the final one, for this value if the test is false, for the final one, this is going to be the value if all the previous tests are false. So look at this expression. So I say if at this the first test, the value if this test is true. If this test is true, I print this. If this is false, I put another test. And the and means these two conditions have to be true. And if these two conditions are true, I put D. And if this was the or, if at least one condition is true, I'm just going to put this. Otherwise, I do another test, because this was the final test, because after this test, everything else is just the same. That's why the final test, I do the test here, which is the test condition here, logical test here. The value if that test is true, and if all the other tests are false, I print the last element. So this is the value if all the tests are false, all the previous tests are false, I print this. So this is just what we have in this expression. So that's how you use the nested if in Excel. Now for the simple if, it's just simple. So for this question, I'm trying to figure out, we are trying to figure out if the student passed the class or he failed the class. So I'm just going to put here equal to, then I put again the if statement. So I can use the grade, I can use this, or I can use the score. I'm just going to use the score here, so it's easier. So if the score is, we say that if you fail the class, if the grade is F, but for F is less or equal to 50. So as put that if the grade is less than 51, because if it's less than 51, it's going to capture 50. If it's less than 51, then I put fail. Otherwise, if it's less than 51, I put fails. Otherwise, I put pass. Okay, so just hit enter, then I can just so this is pass, fail, pass. This grade, this guy have a grade, this is F, and you can see that he fell. And also this is F, and the grade is less than 50, than 50, and less or equal to 50, and again he fell. Very simple. So we need to list all the passing courses also, and it's again, I did already, but we can again try it. So I put equal to, then I put the if. So the passing score, the passing courses. So here you have to test two conditions. You have to test if you have the course is pass, and then we print the course name. So if the grade is pass, so I'm just going to click if this is set to equal to pass. So what do I do? If it's pass, I print the course. So if it's pass, I print the course. Otherwise, I just put not applicable. Not applicable. Good. Okay. So if it's the the pass fail is set to pass, we print the course. If not, we print not applicable. So this enter, then I can just double click here to fill the rest. This is not applicable because it failed. This is not applicable because it's failed. And the other one, we print the course's name that assigned to the passing classes. So also you can list the students that passed the class that are from Cameroon, for example. And if you are not from Cameroon, we don't list your name. Also, if you don't pass the class, we don't list your name. So you have to pass the class and you have to be from Cameroon. So to do that is I use the nested the if again, and then I put if. The condition is if, let me just read from here. The condition is if, then the and means you have to fulfill these two conditions. You have to, because this refer to this pass fail, you have to pass the class, and again you have to, let me just put pass. You have to pass the class and you have to be from Cameroon. So this is this column. So I too have to be set to pass, and you have to be from Cameroon. The country of residency is Cameroon, so you have to be from Cameroon, which is E. So you have to have the Cameroon. If those two conditions are true, then we list the student, which is in this case this G. Otherwise, you put NA. So it's just simple as that. So that's what we have this, and you can autofill the information. So that was how to use the if and the nested if in Excel. So if you have additional question or the topics that you would like me to cover for the next video, just feel free to post the comment and subscribe to my channel so I can continue to post video like this. Thank you, and enjoy my video.